Hello, and welcome to Yoga with Yo Gabriella. My goal is to enhance the quality of your experiences and your energy so that you can embody your essence, to understand the language of your body, and to realign the posture of your heart so you can fully indulge with the richness of life. So whether you're new or you're coming back, I'm so blessed to have you part of this tribe, to share this experience with you, and I'm truly honored that you're here. So whenever you're ready, grab your mat and let's get started. Hello and welcome to another flow. So today we're going to be focusing on the lower body, specifically the glutes and the ankles, and a little bit of the core. Believe it or not, they are all connected some way, somehow. So you don't really need these props, but I recommend using them. So if you have a chair, you can use a couch or something like that, and some blocks. If you do not have that, it's not required, but it's highly recommended. And lastly, some socks. So this is really going to help access the core, access those muscles properly, and you're just going to feel really strong and sturdy after this class. So grab your props, take a moment, press pause, get situated, and we'll start soon. So we're going to get started in a tabletop position. So our hands are going to be shoulder width apart, stacked underneath our shoulders. Your knees are going to be hip width apart, and your feet are going to be in line with your knees. So take a moment, readjust yourself, align yourself, and we're going to start by warming up the spine. So on your inhale, you're going to drop the belly, arch the back, your gaze is going to be up. On your exhale, draw the navel in and press the middle of your spine up towards the ceiling as much as you can. Tuck the chin. Inhale, drop the belly, arch the back, your gaze is up. You'll notice activation of the core, the back, and the abdominals. Continue at your own pace. See if you can feel the momentum of the spine. Where does it feel smooth? Where does it feel choppy? We're going to take two more. Notice if your hips shift from side to side. Typically means a little bit of an imbalance, and it might just take time and practice to be aware of those imbalances and the shifts going on in your body. But no worries, proprioception is something that can be developed. Come back to a neutral tabletop position. We're going to bring our right leg in between the hands, coming into a low lunge. So you can extend the left leg back a little bit. You want to be on top of the kneecap, so high up, not directly on the kneecap itself. You can also fold the mat if that feels comfortable for your knee. You might feel a good hip flexor stretch here, and the right knee will be stacked over the right ankle. And we're just going to warm up the hips and the legs, so we're going to do a little bit of a mobility flow. So find the center of your tailbone area. Maybe you place your hand on your back, and you're going to press the center of your hips into your hands as you extend that right leg, straightening the leg. And then pressing your knee forward, stabilizing by pressing into your right toe, then back into that right knee. Exhale, send the hips back, straightening that right leg. You should feel a good hamstring stretch. Go ahead, take two more. You can go at your own pace, but see if you can move slowly with intention. And slowly bend back into that right knee. Now we're going to tuck the left toes, draw that left knee in. So now we're going to create a 90-90. So lifting our chest up. Our right ankle is stacked underneath our right knee, and our hips are stacked over our left leg. So you don't need a wide stance like that. You don't need a too narrow stance. Making sure that we're evenly in that 90-90 degree. So here we're gonna start to warm up the ankle a little bit and the hip. So we're just gonna start to lean forward as much as possible. Keep the knee in line with the toe. So we don't want our knee flaring out or into one side versus the other. And go as far as it is until you start to realize your heel is coming up. You can use the chair or the couch, anything for support, maybe even a block. But see if you can find the center of your hips to kind of press your way forward and back. This will help activate the glutes. We're gonna do this 5 times. And lastly, making sure that the ribs are not flaring up or rounding too far in the back. And what I like to say is pretend like you're balancing on something or you're balancing a book on your head. This will help engage the core. Now we're slowly gonna twist or create another angle with our knee. So we're at maybe about a 30-45 degree angle. So it's out towards the side, and start to lean the same thing over towards that diagonal line. Notice what you feel in the ankle and see if you can keep all 4 corners of your feet rooted down. So the big toe, the ball of the big toe, the pinky, and the heel, the center of the heel. You can go slow. Again, quality over quantity. Take one more. Rise back up, and then we're gonna open the hip in line so it's completely out towards the side as much as possible. Creating that 90-90. It's in line with the hip. Press into those toes and start to rock from side to side. Find your breath. Maybe you find a focal point that you're staring at to keep that balance. Maybe you do 3 of these in a really good way versus doing 5 to 8 of them being really rushed. You're gonna take one more. And slowly you can bring your hands back down towards the mat. Maybe you already feel activation of the glutes. And we're gonna do the same thing on the left side. So coming back into that tabletop position, the left leg is gonna come in between the hands. Extend that right leg back a little bit. You should feel a good hip flexor stretch. Left knee is stacked over the left ankle. And then pressing the center of your hips, maybe you place your hand to kind of acknowledge where that center of where your spine meets your hips. Press back into that space and straighten that left leg. So straighten as much as where it feels comfortable. Like you can even see with me that my knee is not completely straight. Go to where you're feeling a good hamstring stretch. And then slowly bend back into that left knee. Making sure that we're not pressing the knee out or the knee is not falling out or in, but it's directly in line with our toes. Go ahead, take 2 more. Notice where it feels choppy, where it doesn't feel fluid, and see if you can go right before that choppiness. You'll start to gain awareness as to where your body shifts, and then hold it right before it starts to shift, where it begins choppy, and then anchor in a breath. You anchor in that alignment sensation, and then you can go centimeter, millimeter, a little further. Slowly start to bend back into that left knee. You can inch that right knee up to create that 90-90. Lift your torso up. Your hands can be placed on your hips, the chair for support. When you find your alignment, you can go ahead and start to lean your way forward. Again, press into all four corners of your feet, and maybe you notice that you can't go very far, or this side is, at least for me even, it's a lot harder. Making sure that we're pressing firmly into that left foot as we extend our hips back up. Feel the engagement of the core for support. It's like you're holding everything towards the center area. Go ahead, take one more. And then open that knee to a diagonal, maybe right on the corner of the mat, and starting to lean your way in. Lifting up from the crown so we're not rounding or collapsing in the body. You're nice and prone up. And maybe you notice a little bit of engagement of the inner thighs as you lift your way up. Go ahead, take one more. And then we're going to open ourselves up towards the side, having the left knee in line with the left leg, or with the left hip, and going from side to side. Again, making sure that the knee is in line with the toes, that it's not flaring out one way or another. Keeping those ribs tucked, they don't flare. We're gonna do two more. Good, you can slowly come back down, release that left leg. You can shake out the hips to either side. And then we're gonna start to utilize the chair. So again, if you don't have a chair, that's okay. Maybe you hold on to a wall for support. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do essentially some sort of lunges. So we're gonna slide the top part of our right foot. We're gonna start to slide it back. Again, paying attention to the knee that it's not flaring out, and we're not collapsing into that knee, but trying to keep it as straight as possible, and then sliding back up. If that's too uncomfortable, you can come onto the balls of your feet as if you're coming into a low lunge, squeezing, and maybe you just come up to here. Maybe that's as far as it feels in alignment with you, where you're not relying on the chair to move yourself up, where it's just like, it's a guidance. Maybe you don't hold on to the chair and you slide it up. What you should feel is a good contraction in that left glute. You can lean over slightly, but try to remain erect. Keep those ribs tucked in, squeezing everything towards the center. And the reason why I say to slide, you don't want to rely or put too much pressure on the right leg. But even for me right now, I feel it here. Both glutes are activated. I feel a good stretch in the right hamstring. And then I'm just gonna challenge myself to go a little bit lower, but without disaligning my body. For support, slide it on up. And as you slide it up, you'll get activation of your right inner thigh. Remember to breathe. It looks maybe a little bit more simple, but you should definitely be feeling this. We're gonna do one more. Slide sliding through the heel, maintaining integrity of the hips so they're not shifting or falling into one side or the other, and slowly coming back up. You might even feel activation on the quad. So the goal is to do it. Sometimes it might be hard on the mat, so if you have like a soft floor, or if you're doing it on a rug, it might be a little challenging, but that just means less pressure on the leg that's sliding back. So finding alignment, coming up nice and tall, reaching through the crown of your head, engaging the core, and then slide through that left back heel, finding where it feels relatively good. You're not overextending your knee forward, just slightly, lifting up, and then slowly coming back up. See if maybe you can go a little bit lower. Maintain integrity with that back leg. That's where all the juice kind of happens. Making sure that you're pressing to all four corners of that right foot. And again, I'm not leaning heavily on the chair. If you find yourself leaning heavily on the chair, then maybe just don't go back as far. Maybe you're up here. You keep integrity of all limbs in the body and sliding up. Notice on your back left foot, are you rotating and the balls of your pinky or maybe your big toe is coming up? You should be flat between all balls of the feet. So from the pinky to the big toe. We're gonna do one more. Finding your breath. Ribs remain intact. Okay, coming on up. Oh, you can breathe. We're gonna do one more exercise. I'll show it this way first. Again, you do not need the chair, but it's always reasonable. You do not need the block, but it is recommended. So we're gonna place the block in between the legs, right above the knee. Feet are gonna be hip width apart, and we're just gonna do light taps on the chair. So your hands can come in prayer pose, they can be up overhead. We're gonna start to hinge from the back, so we're not rounding here. Notice how I round and collapse. We wanna maintain integrity. Squeezing the block forward, hinge from the hips, and as soon as you feel the chair, you come back up. You should be pressing on the heels and the outside of the feet. The block is to make sure that our knees are in alignment so that they're not flaring too far in and they're not flaring too far out. If this is too much with your hands up overhead, place your hands on your hips. Making sure that, again, we're not rounding the back, but the heart is lifted up and nice. And notice the shifts in your hips. If you notice that one tends to dip or rotates forward, see if you can maintain integrity. Barely touch the chair and lean back up. Find your breath. Feel the outside of your glutes being activated. What I like to say is pretend you are on a paddle board. This will help you find stability within your feet. And you're balancing something on the crown of your head. What heel do you need to press in more to find that stability within the hips? The goal is not to completely sit down on the chair and relax up and then leaning forward to send your way up. No, you want to barely touch the chair, find that integrity, and slowly lift yourself up. This will activate the hamstrings properly, pressing into the heels properly, so that we're not fully dependent on the joints of our knees and our ankles, but we're utilizing the muscles. Now my legs are trembling, so that means yours should be too. We're gonna do one more. Whew. You can remove the block, shake out your legs. And we're just gonna warm or cool down the hips a little bit so you can come to sit down on your hips, glutes. Feet are gonna open up nice and wide. We're just gonna rotate the hips from one side, bringing them back up into the other. See if you can move intentional with the legs, so we're not just aimlessly, no. We want to make sure that we're utilizing the muscles. So we're not just aimlessly moving our hips from side to side, no. Just be super intentional with it, moving slowly. That means that you're activating those muscles around the hip joint properly. Bringing it back up, you're engaging and utilizing your core for support. I'm gonna go ahead, do 2 more. You might be sliding a little bit, and that's okay. If you hear some cracks or pops, as long as it feels good, then this is a great sign. It means our body is realigning itself. You can slowly bring your knees back up towards center. Shake out the legs. We're just gonna do one more stretch. Inhale, the hands can come up overhead and reach your arms forward. You can keep a micro bend within the knee. Just making sure that we're hinging from the hips versus the lower back. So we don't wanna sit back and round like that. We wanna lift up from the chest. Hands come up, navel tucks in, and then slowly start to hinge. Once you feel that your lower back collapses or goes out of place, hands come down to meet your shins, your knees, your feet, however feels comfortable, and then the upper body can round. Take one more deep breath in and exhale out. Slowly you can start to rise on up. Bring your feet to come into a cross-legged seated position. Maybe you notice a little bit more foundation in your body, or you feel sturdy and strong, which maybe your body's quivering, your legs, and that's a good sign as well. It means that you're building strength. So whenever you're ready, close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and sigh it out. Hands can come to prayer pose in front of your heart, taking a moment to just be excited for what's to come, be excited for this transformation that you're experiencing in your body, the honor and the time that you're giving your body, because you truly deserve it. I'm excited to see you at our next class, where we focus more on posture and alignment and just overall function of the body. Until next time, malama pono. I'm truly so grateful to have shared this experience with you. If you are looking to continue feeling expansive, experiencing salvation with a rich quality of life, then please support by subscribing, engaging, and liking this video.